In this video, we are going to listen to 3 songs by Metallica: The Unforgiven, The Unforgiven 2, and The Unforgiven 3. The inspiration for doing this came from actually some comments on another Catholic YouTube video that I was watching, Pints with Aquinas. Yes, I stole my name from that channel, but I'm a big fan. But this was in a video, an interview with Jonathan Rumi, and they were discussing Metallica, and somebody in the comments said, "Oh, how come you guys, skipped the opportunity to discuss, this song and the Christian take on it?" And I know that person was probably looking for, Jonathan Rumi and Matt Fradd to talk about it, but this is what you got. You got me. So, because I saw that comment and I said, you know what, this is what I do, so I'm going to do it. So I'm doing it. So here it is. Alright, so normally on this channel what I do is I find kind of my own meaning for the song that has nothing to do with Christianity, and I put this other meaning on it, some kind of Christian concept, and but I do believe that there is a hidden meaning there. Like, I do believe that because God wrote himself on the hearts of men, that when a songwriter writes a song from the heart, that God is there and that God reveals himself, and that there's some truth to be found. And so that's what I do. I dig in and hunt for the hidden Christian meaning. Alright, so in this case, with the Unforgiven, I'm going to go ahead and say that these songs are about unforgiveness. So not much of a hidden Christian or hidden meaning, but I will be doing a Christian take on that. So there you have it. Too long, didn't watch version for those of you that, just really just get to the point. I want to know what you think these songs are about. Don't want to watch the whole thing. That's fine, I understand. I'm going to give that to you right now. So the first one, Unforgiven, this is the story of a man that has relationship issues with his parents, vows to never forgive them for raising him in the faith, basically, and now, has to spend the rest of his life battling his conscience because he was raised with Christian morals, basically. That's what I get out of it. And then the second one, we move on to kind of a deeper relationship. Now there's a woman, there's a marriage. He has to deal with unforgiveness, the unforgiveness of, of his parents. The stuff that he's holding on to from the beginning of his life that's going to mess up with this relationship, and then also the forgiveness within the relationship. And it kind of just broadens the whole idea of forgiveness and unforgiveness, and how unforgiveness, it's like this network of hate and how it works, just that with other relationships, and how it just kind of propagates this pain throughout society. And then the third one, I'm not going to give you that. You got to watch the video, alright? So, to see what that one is about. Alright, so that's kind of the overview. And then I'm going to do a little bit of background on the artist. Metallica came out in the 80s as one of those big hair metal bands. They had a huge cult following. In 1991, they released the Black Album, and the Black Album is really just a self-titled album that the cover is entirely black, so it's called the Black Album. It's probably their most popular album. All the radio hits that you know and love are on this album. And here we have The Unforgiven, the first one. Then after that came Load, and then Reload in 1997, and Unforgiven 2 is on Reload. So you have the sequel to the song Unforgiven on the sequel to the album Load. Then in 2008, the band released Death Magnetic, which has the final song in the trilogy, Unforgiven 3. And little fact here, it wasn't until 2024 when this girl found out that there is a third Unforgiven. So I actually just found that out in the making of this video. So if you're like me and had no idea, well, now you know, and we're going to listen to it. So stay tuned for that. I'm not a huge Metallica fan. Like, I own the Black Album. But my sister, God rest her soul, Natalie, this was her favorite band. So I did have my share of listening to Metallica growing up. We shared a room. I have memories of waking up from nightmares and to Sanitarium being played on repeat. So that's kind of my history with it. I'm gonna go ahead and dedicate this video to my sister. So give me a like, give me a subscribe. I have 6 subscribers. Let's make it 10 for my sister. Come on. All right. That being said, let's get into it. So this is the story of a man who, from the moment of conception, because he says new blood joins this earth, which is actually a really cool way of saying new life is created. So from the moment of conception, and then goes into childhood, this person is restricted. He has rules imposed upon him. Thoughts are being controlled. He is being shamed, made to feel like everything he's doing is wrong, and possibly being physically abused, because he says, whipping boy done wrong, right? Then at the end of that verse, he takes this vow that they will never take his will, meaning he's going to do what he wants to do, and he's not going to do what they want him to do. So now, who is they is the question. They are the Unforgiven, because I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but what's happening is he's holding a grudge. He's holding a grudge or being unforgiving of his parents or whoever raised him, because, he's taking this back to, his birth, the moment of conception. So I'm going to say it's his parents. Yeah, and I'm going to take a wild guess and say he's talking about religion, right? Because there's these rules, and he's feeling all this shame. So that's what I'm going to say that is. And this just really reads like this atheist anthem that I had a terrible childhood because I was raised in a religion where I was formed a certain way, and now I have to live with that. And if there was abuse going on, then there's definitely going to be some hard feelings. And the other thing that I think is interesting in the video is a lot of stuff going on in this video that I don't really know what to make of, like the chair, like what's that? I don't know. But in this part, you see he's kind of like, he's transitioning like from this outside world or whatever, but he travels into this like what looks like a sewer or something where there's like this water pouring out, and then he goes into his cell from there. So I can't help but feel like that's supposed to represent baptism, because in baptism you have God impressed on your soul. So from that moment forward, he's gonna struggle with that because he has God's pricking his conscience, and we'll get into that. Let's keep going. So basically grieving this person that he would have become had he not been raised in this religion that is so restricting on how he can live his life, how he can think, what he thinks. So he feels robbed of the life that he could have had. This is very common thinking among atheists. They feel like, so like we want to evangelize because we want to save somebody's soul, right? But at the same time, like I feel like atheists want to evangelize like in their own way. Like they feel like they need to save you from, this thing that's like robbing you of your life, I guess. Even though we know that these rules that religion puts on us, that God puts on us, isn't meant to steal anything away from us. It's really just there to keep us from doing the things that hurt us and cause us pain, right? So but there is that other perspective, and I think this is where the song's coming from. So like the two lines that really strike me here, the last two are he says never me, right, which puts an emphasis on the importance of self to this person. That's very anti-Christian, because we're striving towards death to self. Our identity is in Jesus, as sons and daughters of God. Like that's our identity. We're not, it's not that important that I have to be me, like I want to be God. Yeah, I want to be one with God. I want to conform myself to Jesus. Like that's our, outlook. And this is very, very different. And then, of course, the last line where he says, "So I dubbed the unforgiven." Which is a very powerful thing to say. You're bestowing your unforgiveness on somebody, and the way he says that is like, I vow to never forgive you. Like I'm gonna hold on to this. Like and it all comes from a feeling of revenge, right? That's what unforgiveness is, revenge. Like you have no other recourse. You feel like you have no other recourse, like to get back at this person. So you just, I can just hold this against you. I could just hate you with all of my might. That's kind of what that is. They dedicate their lives to running all of hills. He tries to please them all. This bitter man hails. Throughout his life the same. He's battled constantly. This fight he cannot win. A tired man they see no longer cares. The old man they prepares to die regretfully. That old man dismay. So in the first verse where he vows that they won't take his will, it sounds like now that they did, because he dies regretfully. So that either means that he didn't do everything that he wanted to do, or he did, but all the while felt the pangs of his conscience, and he is regretting letting it bother him, which I believe that's the case. I think that this has become an interior battle, because he says this is a fight he cannot win, and it would be easy enough to win the fight if it was just a matter of like, I want to do what I want to do. He's an adult now. You just denounce your religion and live your life as you please. It seems like it would be that easy. But the thing is, he grew up having these morals impressed on him. And so it's constantly this battle with his conscience, trying to justify his actions, trying to justify his disbelief in God or in religion. just that last part there, I think, kind of reiterates what I said about unforgiveness and it being a form of vengeance. You know, he says, "You labeled me, I'll label you." You know, that's that whole mentality. You know, that you got to get back at somebody. And it also kind of reiterates the thing being about religion, because that's another one of those common complaints that we hear, like, against Christianity, like this idea that we're labeling people, you know, we're condemning people or whatever. Like, I don't see how, I don't know, I just see that matching up pretty well with that concept. All right, so that is that song. Genesis 2:24. A man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. All right, so here we're moving on from the father and mother situation to the wife situation, and the two shall become one flesh. This is a much more intimate relationship. And so learning to forgive becomes much more critical. And then besides that, you're bringing your wounds from your childhood, you know, into this relationship. And so that's what makes marriage so magical. You're going to be hitting each other where it hurts. So yeah, you got to learn how to forgive to make this relationship work. And that's what I think is we're dealing with in this song. So he starts out with, lay beside me, tell me what they've done. If you can understand the me, then I can understand the you. So we have two people there that have, you know, their wounds from their, you know, traumatic, whatever it is that their parents ruined their lives, right? With, and they have to deal with that. So one thing is, having not forgiven his parents, right? He's holding that. He's holding that with him. So that's going to be an issue in and of itself. He says we share this paralyzed. Black heart scarring, darker still, but there's no sun shining through. There's no sun shining through. No, there's no sun shining. There's no sun shining. Why? Because he has rejected God. So he doesn't have God's grace in this relationship. Then it's going to be very difficult for him to learn how to forgive, which we learn from Christ. There's no sun shining, what I feel, what I know. Turn the pages. He's asking if he's going to be able to learn to forgive. Which is going to make or break his marriage. He says, I stand alone, and he's sick and tired of it. He desires to be united with this person in marriage, which is a gift from God, that God gave us to experience a preview of our life with him once we are united to him, and that's why we all have this desire to be in an intimate relationship. Because we ultimately desire God. But to prepare ourselves to be united with him, we have to conform ourselves to him, so we need to learn to forgive. That's why this is so critical, right? And that's why he's saying, should I open it for you? Like, that's what I get out of that. Or are you unforgiven too? That's what he's saying. Like, or am I going to not be able to forgive you as well? She loves me now, she loves me still, but she'll never love again. That's her being unforgiving, because she's the one making this vow against him, right? She'll never love him again. And yeah, it's like there's just having all kinds of problems now because he says that he's gonna be gone, right? So. Alright, this is where he says now, tell me what I've done. He's recognizing that he needs forgiveness, and this is a game changer. Now he sees the Son. Now he sees what we have in Jesus Christ. In his forgiveness, we find the grace to forgive others. We love because he loved us first. Without accepting God's grace, we cannot give that grace. We can't give what we don't have. In seeing himself, maybe for the first time, as a person in need of forgiveness, he is contemplating accepting forgiveness, and thus feels a tugging on his heart to forgive. But it looks like, I don't know, it sounds like he's not getting that forgiveness from this woman though, because her eyes are closed, right? So, yeah, I feel like this is a recognition that, you know, what it feels like to have that kind of turned on yourself. So we end the song, and she's unforgiven too. So it sounds like he kind of made a decision there against forgiving. And he says, I take this key and I bury it in you. So he's basically, yeah, locking the door and throwing away the key on his own freedom from this unforgiveness that's just going to bring him, you know, pain. So, but I feel like, you know, this is a reality, you know, because even if you recognize the need to forgive, even if you're, you know, dead set on like I'm gonna forgive, you know, it's always gonna be an uphill battle because to put that into practice, because it's hard, and we're humans. So, but I feel like he's on the right path. Ping pong balls and mouse traps. And this is supposed to simulate a nuclear reaction. Exactly what it's like when you have somebody, you know, an injury, you know, somebody does something against you, sins against you, and then you retaliate. And then it just keeps going off, right? Like a nuclear reaction. Whereas if we listen to Jesus, if we're like Jesus, what he did, he took on all the sin in the world, and he just absorbed it, right? So when you absorb it, when you just take it in and you don't dish it back out at the next person, then it's the only way to stop this nuclear.
Did you see that? In a matter of less than a second, that one neutron triggered another, all the way through. This is what makes nuclear reactions so powerful.
All right, so there actually isn't a music video for The Unforgiven 3, unfortunately. This one's not as popular. I can't imagine why. Alright, so I just got it pulled up on the YouTube music with the lyrics. So we'll just follow along. Boring. Why are they so obsessed with death? Well, I guess that's one thing Metallica has in common with Catholics. We're kind of obsessed with death. I like this picture. It's death, but it's science. It's very cool. It's very bright too. I like the Black Album. Nice and bright. He found Jesus. That's the light of golden treasure. God is drawing him into himself. That's that being pulled off course. The course that he was on was this plan to not forgive. Remember, he had made this vow. He had dubbed the unforgiven. He had been very definitive in that decision and figured he was going to ride it out, ride it into the sunset. But by the grace of God, he finds himself in some deep self-discovery, and now he's starting to process all that hurt. Was he the one causing pain with his careless dreaming? Yes. I like the way that he says it's careless, because it is. First, he was dreaming up this alter personality that he could have had he been born to different parents or whatever. It was. Then, I can imagine in his marriage, he probably had some unrealistic expectations of his wife that caused both of them to suffer. But he's realizing it now that he's taking it to God in prayer.
How can I be lost if I've got nowhere to go? Search for seas of gold. How come it's got so cold? How can I be lost in remembrance I relive? And how can I blame you when it's me I can't forgive?
I think this is his reasoning for how he has come to believe in God. He finds himself lost, utterly lost, in a life that was supposed to be driven by nothing but the randomness of the universe. So I think the logic here is, if I have no purpose in life, how is it that I feel so purposeless? And asking the question, why is it that I feel so empty? What's missing? Then he says, in remembrance I relive. So that's where he's processing, these wounds and finding healing in the midst of that. Finally finding a way to forgive and realizing that he has unforgiveness with himself that he needs to be liberated from.
These days drift on inside a fog. It's thick and suffocating. This sinking life outside its tail, inside intoxicating. He's run aground like his life. Water much too shallow. Slipping fast down with the ship. Fading in the shadows now. Hey, castaway. Babe, all gone away. They gone away.
So he's painting this picture here of coming up on his shore. He has arrived, but there's this thick fog, and that's what it's like often for a person that comes to the faith, especially from like such an opposing view, like atheism, or even like I watch a lot of these conversion stories, Pints of Aquinas, with Protestants, and when they first come to Catholicism, um, there's a lot to process. There's a lot of emotions to go through with something like that. So I think that's the fog that he's talking about. And then being a castaway means that there's no going back. He's stranded here now. And it's just the beginning of his journey. He's going to have a lot of healing to do, a lot of spiritual growth, growing in his relationship with God. And he says he can't forgive himself, but he's going to work on it over time, and he'll get there with the grace of God.
How can I be lost if I've got nowhere to go? Search for seas of gold. How come it's got so cold? How can I be lost in remembrance I relive? And how can I blame you when it's me I can't forgive? Forgive me not. Forgive me. Forgive me not. Forgive me. Forgive me not. Forgive me. Forgive me. Why can't I forgive me?
You've seen the album cover, so if you want to go ahead and listen to the rest of that song, you know where to find it. I'm going to stop it there, but yeah, that's all I got. So hopefully, this was enjoyable. Maybe think about these songs in a different way than you did before. This is a really dark, Metallica is really good at writing songs about really dark subjects, right? That's like their thing. Death and just darkness. And a lot of scary videos and scary songs, like I shared about my experience as a kid, having nightmares. My sister playing Sanitarium on repeat. But I think this is probably the darkest subject that they have overtaken. Unforgiveness. It's really, there's a lot going on there. And I'm not even qualified to have this conversation, but I put on here what I got. So, but Father Andy, he's great. So let's listen to his words of wisdom, of course. Inspired by Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Oh, alright. So I usually finish with a reading. I'm not going to do that. I have to think about some readings. There's the 70 times 7, reading. There's the prodigal son, which has to do with the parent-son kind of relationship. Not so much unforgiveness, but what's interesting there is the older brother. The older brother is almost like the character in Unforgiven 1 because he's so bitter. No, but we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to pray in our Father.
whenever we find ourselves struggling, especially to forgive someone, and we might say, I can't forgive them. They've done this to me. And that's when we need to look up and see the cross and see that God, no matter how horrible a wound has happened in this life, it can't compare to what God has done for us. And that's the way to healing, even the ability to forgive. The Lord understands when we have been hurt that it is hard for us just to kind of brush our hands and say, it doesn't really matter, forgive and forget. The Lord doesn't say that. He knows the hurt there. He knows how that is extremely difficult. And that's why he takes our hand and he just says, look at me. And through looking at the sign of the cross, very much like when the children of Israel were in the desert and they were bit by seraph serpents. In the book of Numbers, you hear about this. And Moses made a bronze serpent, mounted it on a pole, and whoever looked at that bronze serpent mounted up would actually find healing. And Jesus would use that image, just as Moses lifted the serpent in the desert, so when the Son of Man is lifted up, we'll look on him and experience healing and mercy.